How's everybody doing out there today? I'm Brian, that's Rob. Welcome to the show, episode 12 today.
Episode 12 of the
Lewis and Lyle show.
Officially
since we
changed
changed the name. So, and then I'm going to start out with saying, hope everybody's having a great day today, except for a couple people having a crappy day. You know who you are. Anyway, so what's been going on? Anything interesting happened today, this past week with you, or?
Washing machine quit this week.
Oh, well, that's not good.
Sounded like the goddamn SWAT team was coming in the back door.
Between your washing machine and lawnmower.
When it rains, it pours. You said that the other day. Oh, by the way, I got a joke for you real quick.
Okay.
All right. We're down. All right.
What's that joke?
So, you've heard April showers bring May flowers, right?
Yeah.
Since we're in this season, I thought we'd do a seasonal joke. What does May flowers bring?
No,
Pilgrims.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, another day of unpreparedness.
The joke was the only thing I had prepared. I thought that was a pretty good one, though.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You can tell that to your grandkids. Tell that one at church.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually a clean one. Maybe that won't get banned off TikTok.
We didn't get banned. We got muted.
Muted. There you go.
And it was the terrestrial music that we did play originally.
Did you change it?
I did, but I don't know if it changed it or not.
Yeah, we gotta fix some of our accounts, to Instagram and TikTok accounts, to match our name so people can find it easier.
Well, the TikTok was on my account. So.
Yeah.
Rob Lyles. Rob L. # 45.
You got two.
Well, that's the main one.
Yeah, but I found two of yours. I'm like, well, which one's which?
Well, Rob L. # 45 is the one I started 5 years ago.
Oh, I got you. So we were just sitting here talking, and again, we never really know what we're going to talk about. we got to talking about dating apps, and Rob had a interesting story about
I sure
a while
did.
back. 10 years ago?
At least 10, 11 years ago. So I like talking to folks, not necessarily, and I was single at the time before Nicole and everything else and all that. But and even if it was during Nicole, she wouldn't have cared. I can tell you that. But because I just like talking to folks, and was on this website, like I said, 10, 11 years ago. Understand timeline at this point. And I saw this person on one of these sites, and it was a midget. And I love midgets, right? And I'm always, I don't want to be disrespectful, so I always, if the conversation starts with a midget, it's like, hey, I may have questions. I may want to see pictures. I hope it's not offensive. Nicole knows if I come across a midget, I want to see it naked. So that's just fair enough. But anyhow, so, and I read the person's bio, and it wasn't far from here, so I started talking, blah, 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 blah. There's a couple of text chains back and forth, not very much. And then, and by the way, it was a black midget, so that don't make no never mind, but it's just a little more interesting. And all of a sudden, the little midget said, hey, you did read my bio, right? And I was like, yeah, I read your bio. No, you saw that you lived down in Kinston, yada, 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 right? And so the midget said, so you saw that I was TG. had no idea what fucking TG meant, right? I said, yeah, I sings it, but I have no idea what that means. And so they tell me, like I said, 10, 11 years ago, they said, that means I'm transgender.
Oh no!
Oh no. And I says, well, I don't know what transgender means. So sorry. So they go to explain to me that they was a man transgendering into a woman. So now we got a black midget man transgendering into a woman. So now I'm fucking interested, right? This is, oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh no!
Oh, this has got to be good, right? So I said, hey, I'm not looking for any kind of relationship or anything, but you might be the most interesting fucking person I've ever met. So yeah, let's talk. So we had conversation, I guess about a month or so. It was interesting. Look, I'm not discriminatory against anybody. If you were that weird, I want to know.
Oh my gosh.
Me and you gonna be friends. We may be drinking friends.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that.
Great. That's all I know. No black midget transgender friend if you ever happen to catch this, please let me know.
So we were talking earlier too about the auto pen stuff that's going on with Biden.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And, actually, they're investigating actually who was running the country.
Well,
they've said a few times it was like a committee of people. Well,
So I know, and I want to say I can't remember who it is, but I think it's a senator out of Kentucky. But they've got 3 people that they've asked to come and talk to Congress, and they have until Thursday of this week to do it. And if they don't, then they'll be subpoenaed because these 3 people have said that. So this auto pen thing, from what I have read, it was started doing, everybody's got one in Congress, everybody, right? If they're not there, they can use the auto pen to sign, bills and whatnot and everything else. And there's no controversy about it or anything like that, but it started when 2008, from what I understand, Barack Obama was out of the country and something had to be signed right then. So he used what was called the auto pen to sign it, and like I said, everybody's okay with what happened because it had to be done. He was out of the country, blah, 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 right? But from what I've read and understood, you can't sign in a law unless you're physically at the White House and physically sign the law in. And so what the controversy is a bunch of the mess in the last 100 days was done by auto pen. Even though Joe Biden was in the White House, it was still done by auto pen. And when it's done by auto pen, the person that's signing, being Barack or Joe Biden or Donald Trump, they have to be able to comprehend what they're signing, right? Because if they sign something and don't comprehend or don't know what they're signing, then it's supposedly not legal. That's the whole thing about it. It's just an interesting thing to watch.
But what actually brought on the investigations?
Donald Trump.
Well, I know, but something happened. Supposedly Biden signed something, and
so the first thing, I think, Donald Trump brought it up a while back, right? And it was something doing with the Department of Education. About, how he wanted to get rid of the Department of Education?
Right.
And there was something signed in by auto pen. Joe Biden signed into the law, or whatever you call it, that says that they can't be fired, basically, or they have to be able to. I don't know what the fucking bill is, but what he signed, but I know it had to do with the Department of Education, and it was supposed to be able to stop the Trump organization from doing away with the Department of Education. How you feel about that? That's how you feel about that. But it got brought up then, and then after the cancer diagnosis, right?
Right.
It was brought back up by Donald Trump that in the last 100 days, all these things that Joe Biden had signed were all done by AutoPen and should not be official. Right. So there's a committee that's been formed. Now this committee is investigating. I want to say it's Joe Manchin, but I can't remember for sure. But and they're now in the process of looking at if any of this stuff was even legal for him to sign because of competency.
Right. No dead space.
Yeah, I was thinking you would comment after I talked for 10 minutes. That long explanation, and I can't be the only one that reads.
My brain is. I got so much on my mind right now. It ain't even funny. It's a wonder I can put sentences together right now.
Oh my goodness! You got two brain cells that are fighting against each other.
Yeah.
Can't even rub two nickels together
More like two pennies.
to make 10 cents. Rachel thinks we ought to be drinking while we do the show, but Rachel ain't never seen me drunk, so I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I would say probably not. Would not be a good thing.
I don't know that Brian would get a word in edgewise if I was drinking. And I don't know that anybody would understand what I said.
Well, I don't think they can anyway.
My Uncle Charles was the greatest, man. I love my Uncle Charles like a second daddy. And my Uncle Charles was the greatest. I love my Uncle Charles to death. He was the one that took me fishing. He gave me my first beer at 14 years old. He was one of my best friends, right? He's passed away now, but
might not want to make that public. Oh, he's passed away now. Okay, he's good.
And I'm 50, so it doesn't matter. Statute. Yeah. So he could drink beer all day long and not get drunk. I mean, we'd go out fishing on the boat and we'd take 3 cases of beer with us, and they'd be gone by the time we got back in. And he'd still drive back to the house, straight as an arrow. But when he got drinking liquor, it was worse. And you think I got an accent. My Uncle Charles had a hell of an accent. And when he started drinking, it sounded something like, and it was a whole nother language. And so I knew him, one of my best friends. I could understand him. And he sometimes even his own wife would be like, "What the hell did you say, Joe?" My Aunt Carol. And I'd be like, "I think he said we're going back to check the nets." But yeah, we used to do a lot of net fishing. We had 1,000 feet of gill net and 1,000 feet of flounder net that we would set back when I was little.
Right.
And I can remember clear as the day, Bo. It was Saturday morning. We had set the nets that night, Friday night, and I could have been no more than 14 years old. I might have been 13, but I think I was 14. But 6 o'clock in the morning, he comes, stands over the bed, cracks a cold Budweiser, and that foam falls over top of me. And he says, "Wake up, son, it's Sud Sandwich, let's go." And that was breakfast.
What was breakfast?
Budweiser.
Breakfast of champions right there.
Sud Sandwich, son, let's go. I grabbed that cold beer and got here we go.
It's a wonder you made it back.
We was out, so this was one Saturday night, right? I don't know if we're going to tell stories all day, but we might. But one Saturday night, my whole family had a place to have an Oriental. There was a trailer resort, and I can tell where it's at, but if you know where the bridge is in Oriental, then you know where Dawson's Creek Bridge is, you know where I'm talking about. And everybody had trailers in the trailer park there, vacation trailers. And we had checked the nets. We had a fish fry. Now we're all playing poker, right? And we played penny poker. It got up to a quarter, maybe, right? Just something fun for the family.
Right.
And the thing about when we played, like we were down there a lot. And if you won the most money, right, then you bought breakfast that morning. That's kind of how it went, right? Anyhow, so me and Uncle Charles, we're sitting there playing, and we've been drinking all day. I was probably 16, 17. We got a fifth of Jim Beam, not Jim Beam, it was Jack Daniels. We had a fifth of Jack Daniels between us. And we're drinking back and forth on the Jack Daniels, playing cards and whatnot. And he had about 3/4 of the bottle, I had about 1/4 of the bottle. Now
Right.
he's fucked up. And he goes, "Hey, right. Let's go check them nets." I says, "Okay, well, I'm the less drunk, so I'll drive." Now, luckily,
I think we need to start doing a sobriety test on you when you.
luckily, the boat ramp was only maybe 1/8 of a mile from where we stayed, right? You literally turned out, run around a curve, and turn back in a dirt path. But the game warden was there a lot, too.
Yeah.
But now we're I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? We get on the boat, and we turn all the lights off the boat, all the lights, because we don't want the game warden to even come up on us, right? We're by the moonlight, put through the water to the first net.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking, and I'm looking. I said, "Charles, I think there's something in front of him." And he's looking, and we had these one of these big old lights like this right here that you pull the trigger, hook to the battery.
Right.
And it, I don't know how many lumens it was, but motherfucker was bright, right? He said, "Hand me the light." So I handed him a light, turns that thing on, and there's a fucking buoy from here to the wall. Boy, we threw that motherfucker in reverse and got that. We almost hit that goddamn buoy.
In the river?
It was the sound, yeah.
Oh, okay, the sound.
But yeah, we had all kinds of adventures.
Yeah, I remember we went, me and some buddies, we went catfish fishing on the Black River. And I'm going to tell you something, that river, it was properly named, I'll tell you that. But, I took my 45 with me. And so we're going down.
To kill the catfish?
No. And so we're coming up, and my buddy goes, "Now when we get close to the branch, because we got to tie off that line and let it sink, it's going to sit in the water. We'll come back and check it later." So the catfish are bottom feeder, so it's we put some squid on there and dumped it, right? So now when you get close to the branch, you got to be careful, make sure there's no water moccasins on it. I said, and it was getting dark. And I was like, "I ain't touching no branch."
Oh, you're bush hooking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Onto the tree. I was like, "No, that's not going to be me." And he said, "Well, usually we take a shotgun and fire it up in there just to be safe." Before I said, "And we got a shotgun?" He said, "No." I said, "Brian ain't touching that. Brian ain't going close to that." I said, "And I'll tell you what, too. Some freaking moccasin fall in this boat, you're going to have holes in your boat because I'm going to be firing my pistol." And if you don't, we had another buddy there too. He said, I'll do it anywhere." He would, snakes are just my phobia, right? I cannot stand snakes. I don't like going under a house because I'm scared I'm going to run into one. That's why I don't go under the house. Spiders, all that kind of stuff, don't bother me. I ain't worried about them. But I mean, even if it's a freaking corn snake or field snake, I know they're not poisonous. I just don't, they're just creepy. I just don't like them. But yet, I'll sit in my chair and watch TV documentaries on snakes all day long. And I don't know if you guys remember the Venom ER show that used to show where people would get bit by poisonous snakes and they'd come to the ER and they get treated and all this stuff, right? Well, they had this one show where he kept exotic snakes like cobras and black mambas and all this stuff, right?
This dude down in Raleigh?
No. This guy was in Florida. And and he was filming all this stuff, and he had a cobra out, and he was putting him back in the case, right? And he he let go of whatever. At the time he let go of him and could close it, that snake could come out and bit him on the stomach.
Hmm.
So they kept videoing, and they were going to the hospital, going to the ER, and they kept videoing. And the guy's like dying, right? He's like, "You got to get to the ED quick because I'm starting to lose breath." And so, the guy's going through stoplights.
The ED, you got erectile dysfunction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what the snake. Yeah. So,
I have to get to the ER quick too.
ER. Okay, that's a better emergency department. Let's clarify this. So we got there, and he documented the whole thing. But I mean, he almost died, and they had to restrain him because of the pain that venom was causing. And I forgot how many vials of antivenom. They had to fly it in from somewhere too. So I mean, he was lucky. It amazes me that these hospitals have the
Anti-venom.
The anti-venom in their.
They're supposed to keep all that shit in stock just in case.
Yeah, but for cobras.
Well, I mean, sure, in fucking Florida, yeah.
Cobras, black mambas. I mean, you know what?
I think if you get bit by the black mamba, you ain't getting to the hospital.
I'm sorry, you could take me however you want. You people that mess with those kind of things, if you get bit, you deserve it. I'm just sorry.
I picked the snake up last week or the week before.
Well, it wasn't no black mamba.
No, it was just a black snake, but this son of a bitch was about 7 foot long.
There's a serpentarian down in Wilmington. Went in there, and every snake in there was exotic, poisonous. They had the pit viper, the bullnose, the black mamba, green mambas, and they actually took a king cobra out to feed it. And they gated it all around, and they said don't make sudden movements or anything like that. That sucker probably was, 15 foot long.
Well, I flipped over.
Sucker, he came up like that. He was probably standing 3 foot, when he was up. And I was like, no. That's just crazy.
But a couple of weeks ago when we had all them bad storms and all,
yeah,
he had flipped one of my big coolers over, right? And I was like, well, and the handle was like this, and it flipped over on the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'm going to let me get this thing up. I went to pick it up, and there was a black snake. It had to be at least 7 foot long, big around my damn wrist.
Yeah.
Right? And he was right there wrapped up on the cooler, right? I said, well, buddy, let's get you out of here.
Well, when I get my travel trailer out there, you know what I'm going to circle it around with, right?
Yeah.
Freaking snake away stuff and just
sulfur. Yeah. But anyway, so I know black snakes ain't poisonous, right? And I'm not scared of snakes. So I reached down to pick him up. And I was going to grab him by the head.
Did it bite you?
No.
Okay.
He climbed right into my hands. So I picked him up almost by the middle of his body, not by his head.
Right.
And he kind of curled around me a little bit, and I walked him out to the edge of the wood line, put him in the woods.
So when I was in high school, we had somebody found a baby snake or something, right? So they brought him into our biology class, and we were passing it around, right? And we were like, well, what kind of snake is it? Well, I don't know. So you're messing with a snake, you don't even know what kind it is, right? So anyway, it came to my turn, and I put it in my hand, and it'd go into people's hands, and it would just kind of stay still. Well, it goes into my hand this side, it wants to start crawling around. I threw that thing. I was like, no. It just, yeah. Mm-mm.
We're talking about fishing. I got a short story. Go ahead.
My best friend in high school, and he's still my good buddy today, but I was over at his house, and I walked up to ring the doorbell. He answered the door, and I'm going to pause that. Go ahead and say your story. I got to get my power supply because computer's about to die.
Well, go ahead, and I'll just wait for you to get back. Or can you hear me as I'm talking? Can you hear me as I so my buddy Dave Mark, and I will tag him in this. We used to do a lot of catfishing, right? And he said, I got a place for us to go. So there's a place in Dunn called Rhodes Pond, right? Rhodes, Rhodes Pond.
Right.
And I said, all right. So we used to do a bunch of jugging, right? And we'd go down to Rhodes Pond, and we set out about, I don't know, 30 or so jugs. Now, at Rhodes Pond, you can't have a motor. So no boat can have a motor in this pond.
Okay.
It's a state-owned pond. Really nice place to go, by the way.
Yeah.
Do some fishing. So we set out our jugs, you know, and blah, blah, blah. We're waiting. And it gets around, I don't know, edge of dark, right? And we're starting to pick up the jugs, and there's one little slough that goes into where the cypresses are, right? And we know we got a couple of jugs out there, right? So we pick up a couple of these jugs. Now we're paddling this boat without a motor, right? Can't have a motor. All of a sudden we hear this sploosh hit the water.
Moccasin.
Alligator.
Oh, no.
So I said, what the fuck was that sploosh, Dave? He said, I don't know. So we take a flashlight and shine back on us, right? And maybe 8 feet behind us is this fucking alligator swimming toward us.
Lunch, supper.
We were paddling like a motherfucker trying to get out of there. We finally got back up to the bank.
Yeah.
And get the boat out the bank, and probably another 20 feet away from us, we heard another sploosh come off the bank that way. I think it was another one, but we never did scare the fucking hell out of us, I'm telling you right now.
Oh, well, I could imagine. That's something you don't play around with either.
Well, you don't expect to see it in Dunn, North Carolina either.
No, and I down in, these lakes and rivers and stuff, these people skiing and stuff, there's alligators in them things.
When we're paddling that boat so damn fast, the front off stand up like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I went over to my friend's house, and I knocked on the door. He answered the door. He said, he knew I didn't like snakes. He goes, "Hey man, there's a black snake behind you." And I had just come up the walkway. What? And I turned around. That thing was in the corner, just curled up.
Little bitty?
Huh?
Little bitty? Small one?
No, well, I don't
little
know.
Bitty.
He's about 3 foot. A little bitty?
Yeah.
What's a little bitty?
Small.
Oh, a little bitty one. A little bitty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rob language. See, I'm learning. Johnson County. Actually, nobody in Johnson County, they don't have no problem understanding you, I'm sure.
It depends on what part of Johnson County you're in. If you're in Clayton, because I saw Ed last night, if you're in Clayton, you have a problem hearing me. Ed, Ed lives near me.
Ed.
From Nova.
Oh, does it? Ed.
Yeah.
Which one is Ed?
Tall, real pretty guy. Beard.
Real pretty guy?
Well, he's young. Yeah, he's a real pretty guy.
Oh, the project manager guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you're talking about.
He lives 10 minutes from me. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does he understand you?
Sometimes.
Well.
We saw each other in the grocery store last night. He approached me, though.
Oh, did he?
Hey, how you doing, Bo? Goddamn fine guy.
So I'm like, kill it. Eventually, we had pushed it down and had come down, and they had a big window in the front of their house, and that snake had crawled up a little bit on that window. I was like, shoot it. I can't shoot it through the window. I was like, I don't give. Anyway, so we ended up getting it. We shot it. So forgive us. I know that was a snake that wasn't really going to bother you, but he picked that thing up and threw it on me. I thought I was going to kill him.
So
and he still remembers this to this day. And he has an AR that he painted to look kind of like a copperhead. He named it Copperhead in honor of me because he knew I hated snakes. But
I'll tell you a little quick story about snakes. My buddy Jonathan, so when I lived in town, Four Oaks, back when I was married and all, he was my neighbor on this side. Backyards kind of joined, right? And we were real close. Him and his wife, and they had 5 kids.
Right.
Okay.
Take 3.
Take goddamn 3, I swear to God. So we had technical difficulties, something dropped out.
Well, the second one was my fault.
And then the second one, he forgot to plug the microphone back in. So here we go again.
And he was ready to stop. So
I was ready to stop. I wasn't even going to tell that story at this point, I swear to God.
You've already started it. So
I done started it 3 times now.
Well, you start again.
So my buddy Jonathan, I used to live in town 4 Oaks. And tell this part again. Our houses backed up to each other's backyard.
You're just telling me again. You're not.
I
telling
know,
me again,
but
so.
anyhow, Rachel's gonna cut all the front part out, and put in the back part. And we had both had keys to each other's house because we were that close. And it's 11 o'clock of a night. My door slams open. I said, "What the hell is that?" I'm laying in the bed with my ex-wife at the time, naked, and he comes running into the bedroom, starts shaking me. He says, "Rob, I need you to get up right now." And I'm like, "What the hell's wrong, bro?" And he says, "You need to come to the house right now." Now, Jonathan and his wife had 5 kids. And I said, "Well, hold on, let me get some short pants or something on." So I get my short pants on, pair of flip-flops, and I walk over there. His wife and all 5 kids are up on the couch with their feet in the cushions, just huddled up. And he jumps on the couch and huddled up on the couch and says, "It's in there. It's in the bedroom." Well, his oldest boy's bedroom had been, it used to be an old laundry room because the houses were built in the 50s.
Right.
And it had been converted into a bedroom. It had a couple of steps that went down into it. He said, "It's in the bedroom. It's in the bedroom." I said, "What the fuck is in the bedroom?" Thought it may have been a prowler or something. I don't know. So I go in the bedroom, and there it is. It's a little bitty garden snake. It ain't but about maybe 10 inches long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Is this what you called me about? Come running the house 11 o'clock at night, get me out of bed naked." He said, "Can you get it? Can you get it?" So I pick it up, and I walk back to the living room, and they're freaking out. I mean, screaming, crying, freaking out.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, "Don't, it's just a damn garden snake. It ain't going to hurt nobody," right?
Right.
So I take it outside and I put it out. And they want me to kill it. I ain't killing it. And I put it outside and let it go. And he's like, "How did it get in my house? How did it get in my house?" "Well, let's go check in the boy's room, whatnot, and everything." So we go in the boy's room. We're moving shit out the way. We found a old dryer hole that hadn't been clogged.
Right.
It was open. I said, "Well, that's where he got in at." And he said, "Well, we need to fix that right now." So I had some old insulation in the barn, so we went and got the old insulation and stuffed in the hole until he could get it regularly patched. But
Right.
it was scared to fucking death of that little garden snake.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like them, but I mean, I've had a couple copperheads at an older house that I was where I used to live, and of course my dog made me aware of that because he was barking at the house. I'm like, "Why are you barking at the house? At the front door?" What are you doing? What? I opened the door, and he's down there, and I looked down at the bottom step. There was a copperhead curled up down on the sidewalk right there next to the step. I'm like, "Oh, great." I'm like, and I was more scared of the dog getting bit than I was, because every time I came close with the hoe or something, he wanted to grab it, right? Like he was protecting me or something. I'm like I had to go put him in the garage, shut the door so I could deal with the snake.
So
and it just,
when I was real little, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, we lived in a trailer park called Tar Hill Farms Trailer Park down near 4 Oaks. And great trailer park. My cousin Wilson Earl lived there too. And boy, have I got some misadventures of me and Wilson Earl, I have to tell. But I've only seen this done with my daddy and a couple other people, right?
right.
I'll get to it in a minute. So man's moving, I tried it a couple of times, couldn't do it. Man's moving a barn, right? And he's right across from us, and we're all out there helping him, right? Like I said, I'm 6, 7, 8-year-old at the time, right? When we moved the barn, right behind, or adjoints to Toy Trailer Park, was a big old pond that we all fished in, right?
Right.
Well, under the man's barn was a damn water moccasin, biggest water moccasin I've ever seen in my life. Well, it could have been bigger because as a kid, everything looks bigger, right?
Right.
So my daddy grabbed this son-bitch by the tail, run back, pop it, and the fucking head comes flying off of it.
Oh, darn.
He whip-snapped the head off of it. Now, I heard it could be done, but that was the first time I'd ever seen it done.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
I wouldn't touch it.
He sure did. That snake didn't stand a chance, Bo. He snatched it by the fucking tail, reared back, so whoop out, and the head come flying off this motherfucker.
Huh.
That was, the man said he was going to keep it and make a hat band out of it, but I don't know if he ever did.
Yeah.
I bet that son of a bitch, Bo, his body was that big around. He wasn't that long, but
What was that? A moccasin?
yeah. He probably wasn't 5-6 feet long, but his fucking body was huge.
Nah, they don't get too.
He
They
was
don't
big
get,
as a Coke can.
They don't get very long. But you know, hey, you guys out there listening to us, you've got a snake story, you can
Drop in the comment.
drop it in the comment, or you can email us at Lewis and Lyles.
The Lewis and
At
Lyles
Gmail.
show.
No, it's just lewisandlyles@gmail.com. We've kind of simplified it a little bit.
Well, I know the YouTube has or whatever it's called at the Lewis and Lyles show.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the YouTube.
but the email is Lewis and Lyles.
Right, but if you want to tell your friends to go watch this shit,
Yeah, or you can send them a link.
or send them a link, but you can say at the Lewis and Lyles show.
And
Because we've changed the names.
you know, hit the subscribe button.
And we like the name better. If you like the name better, let us know. But we like the name better.
I think so. But anyway, all right.
All right. Well,
Hey,
that's
it
the
decided
end
to work
of
that
12.
time. Anyway,
Good mercy.
all right. Hope you guys have a great day, a great week. We'll catch you next time on the Lewis and Lyles show. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave us a comment. Peace out.